Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. Hi, everybody. It's Sunday. It's August 1st. Time for another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. What you know, Fruit Loop?
I'm old. I know that my I don't know if it's arthritis. I don't know what it is, but it hurts. I'm getting over this head thing too. So
I know. I've been kind of sick. Like my kids have all been sick. I've been sick. 2 days ago, I think I slept 18 hours out of 24. I just took nap.
That's comatose.
Nap after nap after nap. And then yesterday, didn't do anything. Literally laid in my bed and watched TV and played my video game and just took care of me. But I guess sometimes we all need to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So we just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Two Cool T-Shirt Quilts. I've got to put pictures up of the new pillows that she sent us. They're so cool. They're so comfy, and I use it every day.
I'm loving that pillow.
Yep. So if you guys are interested in maybe doing something with your old t-shirts, check her out. twocooltshirtquilts.com/prettyliesandalibis. And
high quality.
It is really good quality. They're really soft.
I've seen some people have them done.
Yeah.
These,
they're different.
High quality.
They are.
Yeah.
They're very nice.
Yeah.
So Sherlock, I told you guys it's really, really hard to keep this cat in at this point. He's very fast, and I have a dog door because my dogs need to go in and out, and he just goes in and out. So I've just stopped fighting it, and I know there's trouble outside, but he's had his vaccination, so we just cross our fingers. But this cat's going to he's going to 4 different people's houses now and eating and just chilling in their house.
We ended up your brother's the other night, right?
Yeah. So I get a text at 7 a.m. If you're looking for your cat, he spent the night over here. Because my brother lives across the street from me. So Maggie on YouTube cracked me up today, literally shot coffee through my nose. She said I should use a high-pitched voice and go around and say, "Sorry, neighbors." Lori style.
Yeah.
So, and we just want to give a big thank you to Debbie for the PayPal donation. We just got that right before we went on, and Debbie is always taking care of us, and we really,
awesome.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Debbie. So,
and before we get started, I just want to say, we have a lot of new listeners from when I was on the Scott Rice channel, Crime Talk Live. So we just want to welcome everybody. And also, we typically sit and chat for about 5 minutes before we dive into the stories. That's just kind of how we roll. So if you don't want to hear us talk about our kids or whatever, just skip about 5 minutes, check in, see if we're over it. But we're Southern. We talk.
Yeah.
We
just
talk
share
about
a little
everything.
bit.
So pageants. I don't know how 2 of the biggest tomboys ever born, you and I, you helped way more than I did. I helped the day of. You helped set this thing up. How we got involved in a kid's pageant, but can I just say it was interesting?
Yeah. It was interesting. That's some interesting folks.
Yes. So no offense to anybody whose kids do pageants. I never let my kids do it. I just didn't feel like that was right for our family. But I told pageant mom kind of how it was in very few words after this pageant.
Yeah.
I don't speak out to people usually that I don't know. But okay, so I'm walking to my car. It's late. It's close to 11 o'clock. And there's a woman carrying what I think to be about a 3-year-old kid. And she's telling her, "You didn't blow kisses at the judges. You didn't shake your hips." And finally I turned around and I said, "Really? She's 3. Like,
yeah.
Are you seriously fussing at your 3-year-old because she didn't perform?" I just can't.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the girls seem to have fun. The parents enjoyed it, but whew, man.
That was my first one. So
yeah, mine too. I think I maybe went to the ones in high school because I had a friend who was in them every year, but I've never been in small kids.
Yeah, it was definitely different.
Yep.
Oh
boy.
So you have a big thing this week.
My baby, my firstborn, turned 16 on Tuesday.
That is so scary.
I am not handling my children growing up very well, Fruit Loop. It's bittersweet because I love who she's becoming. I love who she is. I mean, she knows who she is. She's unapologetically herself. She dresses like she stepped out of Woodstock. But
she carries it like she rocks it.
She does, but she's like the kindest soul I think I've ever met. I mean, this girl roots for everybody, and she speaks up for those who can't speak up for themselves. And it's really, really cool to kind of get this front row seat to watching all three of my kids become these awesome young people. And, but yeah, 16, big deal. Gonna spoil her rotten on Tuesday. Just, I mean, like, I want it to be the best day ever for her.
Oh, yeah.
So cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Happy birthday early, Taylor.
That's right.
So
she don't listen.
No, I know she doesn't. And it's weird. I get it because it's like Mom and Aunt Fruit Loop, you know, and it's so she knows us away from the podcast, but all of her friends listen.
I know. Right?
And they're like, the podcast is good. I like it.
Hey, Diego.
Was that Diego? Yeah. That's my daughter is one of her best friends in the world.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And he listens, and we love Diego.
Yeah.
So podcast changes. We have said this before. We are working to get a setup where we start recording every single podcast episode as we're doing it. And a lot of you have asked for that because you're visual, and I am too. So we're working to get that. And once we get that set up, definitely going to do another live.
Okay, we need to do the cooking live because it was funny.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could do a live on that because it's not very long. It's not like you have to let stuff simmer for 30 minutes. They're in the pokey.
No.
You know, they got like a sink and a toilet.
Exactly.
And all of it's used to make stuff, and it's gross. But
yeah, it was pretty gross.
We're not using my toilet, y'all.
No.
That's when you make hooch. I think they make it in the toilet. I don't know.
That's disgusting.
You gotta be. I mean, if you're into pokey, I guess anything helps pass the time. But I would not drink.
I would not drink out of the toilet to pass time.
Rotten fruit stuff.
Negative.
Stickers. Sorry, guys, still not out. I've been lazy. I will get them out this week. I promise. If you're new to the podcast, send us an email, prettyliesandalibis@gmail.com. Tell us the keyword is Sherlock, which is my cat that is sitting right behind me right now. I might add.
How did he get back in here? Is he Houdini?
Yeah, he is. I mean, I'm sure people wonder, how did he get in my house? But
well,
there
Mason
he is.
took him out. The door never opened.
Well,
I don't know.
Go figure.
He probably opened it behind us and closed it back, probably.
Probably so.
Yep. So Colby was on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Said he forgave his mom.
Yeah, it was a very touching video, full of emotion. And I'm sure this is just, you know, we've never been in Colby's situation by any sense of the word. It's a big burden. So I guess maybe you just have to get to that point in order to grow as a person or not let it drag you under. You have to forgive. And he was very open and honest and very raw in his feelings. And the one thing I like about Colby is he's not afraid to cry on camera. He shows his emotions, and I think that that's such a healthy thing. But, you know, I think the thing too is Colby's going to have to forgive his mom many times over, I think.
Sure.
And I'm glad that he, excuse me, I'm glad that he recognizes that that's going to be his way to emotional freedom from all of this. But I think as time goes on and we learn more and more and more, he seems like a very strong man. And I feel so bad for him, really. I do. But he's using his faith to navigate these waters, and that's the best thing for him to do, I think, is to lean on that.
Yeah, and like we talked about, it's going to be something new each time.
Yeah.
Like you're going to continue to hear new stuff that you didn't know. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it starts that whole process over.
Yeah, and that's why I say he's going to have to forgive her probably continuously throughout his life.
Yeah.
But at least he understands that for his own well-being as a husband, as a father, soon to be two, you know, they have a new baby on the way, that, I mean, he's just very open with it. And so it just, my heart broke for him watching it again. It's got to be really hard to forgive somebody who took everybody in your family away from you so selfishly.
Yeah.
So anyways, one thing that Scott Reich said when we did the live, and I've had a lot of little questions about this, is sometimes we do get information before it's public.
Yep.
We have people reach out to us, many different people from different walks of life, different professions, whatever. But we do get stuff that's sensitive to the case. And every time so far, we've never put it out. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. Okay, so for example, we knew the murder charges were going to drop about a week before they did. And we talked about saying something, but ultimately we decided that those investigators and Rob Wood and everybody has worked very hard on this case. And it's his thing to announce, not ours.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like I don't ever want to put something out there for clicks. and then undermine law enforcement or investigators, because as we saw last week, and we're not going to get into the whole drama about this phone recording, but sometimes podcasters, YouTubers can put themselves in the middle of these cases and can cause things to go wrong. So somebody was like, well, why don't you guys tell us all this information you guys get on the side? Because we don't ever want to do that.
No.
It's just not worth it for me and Fruit Loop, either one. I don't want a family member to hear it from this podcast when maybe somebody was going to call them the next day, that kind of thing. We just go with the flow and trust the process.
It's not worth it.
It's really not. And I don't ever want to be the source of pain for a family member.
Nope.
Ever. And if we ever do that, then I just assume turn these mics off and never come back to them.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how we were raised. And, but at the same time, what we do is a big responsibility.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of listeners. And for us to put things out there that we can't 100% verify, kind of feels irresponsible on our part. But it does help us navigate certain episodes if we know things that we're not putting out there. But yeah, so people were like, well, why don't you guys tell us? I don't think we'll ever be that podcast.
No.
That's going to tell you guys things that aren't announced yet. I think it's a walking in a minefield.
No, it is. And then sometimes if something changes, then you look dumb.
Right.
Because
exactly.
you came out and said something.
Yeah, and
like,
we don't want to look dumb. I mean, we're human.
Yeah. It's like predicting the world's going to end.
Yeah. Well,
Chad. Old chatty boy.
That was a big bust, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. We're still here.
Yeah. All right. So what about the death penalty? We're coming up on that.
So the prosecution they have 1 week from today to seek the death penalty.
Yep.
If Wood does seek death, we will learn more about the horrible details about the crimes.
Yeah.
He's got to justify his decision to seek death. Why is he doing so?
Yeah. And I think that's going to be tough. Because that is public. That stuff is able to be put out in the public. So if he seeks death, it's just going to open up an avenue of, because everybody's so emotionally invested in this case. It's like we feel like we know Tammy and Charles and JJ and Tylee and Joe. And so it kind of goes back to what I was saying about Colby. He's going to have to forgive over and over and over. It's not going to be a one and done thing for him. But am I interested to learn more details? Yes, of course. We're invested in this case and we want to know more to understand. But I think it's going to be a tough week for the family if he goes for death and then this statement comes out as to why.
Sure.
So we shall see.
So you read something on the law in Idaho.
Yeah. So Lori Hellis, we always talk about her newsletters and they're great. Just Google Lori Hellis, Lori Vallow story, and you'll see her webpage. And she comes out with, I think Lori Hellis and Scott Reich are the two legal talking heads that we really, really rely on to understand things that we might not. But she was talking about Idaho law as to why she thinks he will go for the death penalty, which is in Idaho, you can't give a sentence of natural life in prison without the possibility of parole unless the death penalty was on the table and the jury rejected that as a form of punishment. So I don't know that I see Rob Wood chancing them ever being eligible for parole. I think he kind of has to do it.
Yeah. So if he doesn't seek death, they would be eligible for parole according to Idaho law.
Right. But I think it's at the judge's discretion.
Gotcha.
He could say after 40 years, I mean, they're in their 40s. So, I mean, you do the math.
That's almost a life sentence.
It really is. But I think they'll never be free. But then again, we don't know for sure he's going to do it. There are people who think he won't. But we shall see. And I think we will know something maybe by the end of the week, first of next week at the latest, because the deadline's up on the 8th, which is 1 week from today, and they don't work on Sunday or Saturday. So I think either Friday or Monday we'll know for sure.
Yeah. So Rachel Smith is in as prosecutor.
Yeah. So she was in on these other charges that were dropped, and we're going to get into that. But there was a filing for a pro hoc vice.
Oh, VJ.
Oh, nailed it.
Y'all remember, y'all that listen, remember, we called it
Pro Hoc Vice.
Pro Hoc Vice. That was it.
Yeah, that was it. So the judge approved her on July 29th for the murder charges, and now she can appear in court for that stuff.
I'm ready to see. Like, I want to hear her and see how she. Like, I want to see her.
Yeah.
In action. Like, we know what Rob Wood. Like, we know him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to see if she's like a no holds bar, like.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Well, there's a reason that she was brought in, and her specifically out of state. And I trust that Rob Wood knows what she brings to the table, and it's just going to solidify everything against these people. So I'm really glad she's on. Now,
I feel like you want to play like Stone Cold music coming in.
I know, right? She needs her and Rob both need intro music like wrestlers. There you go.
Yeah.
We gotta. Okay, so I'm gonna have to start thinking of their intro songs because that's my jam.
Yeah.
I've been posting music on our social media because that's just me. So just every now and then
you figured that one out. What would be Rob Wood and Rachel Smith's walk-in music?
Okay, so when it comes to me, I'm gonna post it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do their song. If they were coming into the arena, what would they play?
See, I would do. I'm just I grew up with wrestling, so Ric Flair, woo. I would do his da 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 da. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't watch
I think
wrestling.
That's what 2000 Space Odyssey or something.
Yeah,
that's what the Gamecocks come out to. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Go Tigers.
Mm.
See, I never watched wrestling, and I really should have my Southern card revoked because I've never watched a NASCAR race, and I've never watched wrestling.
Do you know how many grandmothers in the South watched wrestling back when Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen were on?
Oh yeah, that and Days of Our Lives.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So anyways, there was an order sealing the state's response in rejection of entry counsel in the finding of a conflict. It was filed by the defense. We don't know why they filed it because it's not public, but Scott Reich said it really should be public. He doesn't understand why some of this stuff is under seal. So we're not sure. And so what about Rachel? Where is she from?
She is from Missouri.
There you go.
And now in a limited capacity in Idaho for these murder charges.
Okay, wow. So can I just say our social media was off the charts this week when Rob Wood dismissed those Madison County charges.
Which, if you've listened to us from the get-go, we said it was coming.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. This happens a lot in big cases that involve murder of multiple people and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what did he drop?
So he dropped 2 counts of conspiracy to commit concealment, destruction, or alteration of evidence. And that was for Lori and Chad. And then 2 counts of destruction, concealment, or alteration of evidence. And that was just Chad.
So, okay, can I just say this cat is kneading my back right now, and he's very lightly putting his claws in my lower back. And so if you guys hear me make a noise, that's why.
Well, at least he didn't grab your leg. That's what he normally does.
Yeah. So why would Rob Wood drop these charges? Well, at the time, they could only prove these charges and not murder.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to put it out there, we didn't get murder charges until last month. These charges of the conspiracy and the destruction and the concealment and alteration of evidence, that's what got Chad into custody, and it kept Lori in there.
For sure.
Until we got the big ones. They had, and we've been going through these documents, and it's very tedious. And this is only a portion of Chandler, Arizona documents, not to mention Idaho, Hawaii, everything. So Rob wasn't ready to file murder charges last June when we found the kids. It had to be a process to make sure he did it right. Because when you file charges, you're essentially saying, I can go to court right now and prove these charges.
Yeah.
So you see it a lot. I always talk about the first 48. What they'll do is if they have a suspect that they think may have been involved in a homicide, they will always check and see if there are any outstanding warrants for that person. They will go pick them up on that and try to get them to talk about the homicide. They almost make it seem like we know something you don't know, which they do. And then a lot of times what you'll find is these people end up admitting to murder. And half the time I always say it was like self-defense or whatever. But it's a placeholder. So it's we got these murder charges on June 24th was when I believe June 24th was when we got the charges or the announced that.
The June or May?
Maybe it was. I don't think it was May. We haven't known about murder charges for 2 months. I think I made a boo-boo on the month. But anyways, I'm sorry. There's so many dates.
It boils down to it kept them in jail.
Exactly.
It got them arrested. It kept both of them in jail.
Right.
Now let's move on to the bigger charges and go get them, Rob.
Right. And you have to understand this too. You don't want to dirty up. I don't want to say dirty up. You don't want to confuse the jury or give them anything to fall back on. So let's say that you've got a couple of jurors that aren't convinced that Lori knew what was going on. They're going to play dumb, I think. I think they're going to both say, I didn't know this was happening. They're going to blame it all on Alex. He's dead. He can't answer any of it. So the natural thing to do, this cat, is just blame the dead guy. But the thing is, we know Chad lives at that property, and we know that that grave was already dug before they brought JJ because he was only there, I think, 17 minutes on the property.
Yeah.
So we can safely assume Chad dug the grave, made the excuse for the gunshot, whatever, the bonfires. But all Pryor has to do is put some reasonable doubt in these jurors' minds. Hey, Chad had no clue. He said he was going to come back there and do some digging for something. There are ways, and I know it sounds stupid because it's very obvious Chad had his hand in it, literally. But it's a scary thing. I don't think he wants to, aside from the fact that these are placeholder charges and they often get dropped because they're bigger charges, I don't think Rob Wood wants to get a not guilty on anything that he puts before a jury if he were to combine these charges. And all it takes is one juror to think, well, hey, his phone was never there. Alex pinged there. Chad's phone pings don't matter on his property. And I don't think they have Lori's phone ping there. I really don't.
Interested to see.
So I think that's why they can still use this evidence in the murder trial. They can, to make it a whole picture. But, I think the important thing is this. What about the charges being dismissed without prejudice?
So the charges were dismissed without prejudice. So Rob Wood can bring these charges back if it falls within the statute of limitations, which is typically 5 years for felonies in Idaho.
Yeah, and let me say, some people have speculated, is this part of a plea deal? I don't see it. I think Rob Wood can go in there and nail these guys to the wall with all these murders.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing with this evidence and the, whatever he's got, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm confident with him.
100%. And we have to trust that Rob Wood has the best interest of justice in his mind. And, he may have consulted with the families about this and told them the risk of taking this to trial with the murder charges. Who knows? But Scott Reich, in the end, he said the charges aren't a huge deal. And it is for us because we want every single charge to be, for them to face those charges and be found guilty. But we just have to trust the process. And in the end, they can still bring these back and do it. And maybe he will.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then what about East Idaho News?
So East Idaho has provided information relating to their coverage on the Vallow Daybell case. There was originally a subpoena for Nate to testify, if y'all remember that part, at the change of venue hearing, but Pryor withdrew it. So East Idaho News complied because the information is already public.
Yeah. And so they fought the subpoena. They were like, no, Nate's not testifying in your little hearing. But he withdrew it. So they just went ahead and gave them, and it's very transparent. It's on their website. You can visit their website and they'll show you everything they handed over to Pryor, which essentially is everything they posted about this. So I hated to be the person that had to get all that stuff together.
Oh, I know, right?
It's been a lot. So we were talking about Lori Hellis, and this has to do with Melanie Gibb. A lot of people since this phone call have come out have, rightfully so, said she knew stuff. And a lot of people have wondered why she wasn't arrested for knowing in advance possibly that Charles was going to be murdered. So we're just going to talk about that for a second. And this is read from her newsletter. So we're just giving her credit. These are her words. And you could, again, go to find Lori Hellis online, subscribe to that, and then you can read this and everything else she put because it's all very interesting and very...
She breaks it down so simple.
Yeah, and it's very layman terms, just like Scott Reich. You can watch him and not know a lick about crime or the legalities of things. And then when you get done, you feel a little smarter.
Yep.
That's how I feel when I read Lori stuff and Lori Hellis stuff and watch Scott.
Yep.
So when does a duty arise for an ordinary citizen to report a crime? Interesting question. There's no obligation for a citizen to report a crime. There is an obligation for a citizen to abstain from criminal behavior. As long as the witness does nothing to further or cover up the crime, there's no criminal liability. So in Arizona, for falsely reporting or lying to police, that is a class 1 misdemeanor with up to 6 months in jail and a $2,500 fine. So what do we think about why ultimately Melanie Gibb, for one, has not faced charges?
Well, her testimony and cooperation are worth more than what they could charge her with.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that Lori put this out there because we've kind of heard this a lot. People have varying opinions about Melanie Gibb from, I think she was just a little ditzy, to she knew everything. I don't think they obviously don't have much, other than her ramblings to prove she helped. And that would kind of be what she would face charges for, if I understand the law correctly.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you look at Chad's case, because we know Lori and Means waived her preliminary, in Chad's, I mean, it helped say, yeah, there is enough evidence.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And what was it too? You brought up a really good point, because a lot of people had speculated she made a plea deal.
Yeah. Pryor, if you remember, Pryor asked her on the stand, did you receive a plea deal from the prosecution? And she quickly said no. You offered a plea deal from the prosecution? And she said no.
Yeah. So that was just something interesting. And I think that Lori Hellis really hit on it, because that's been a lot of what I've seen online this week, which is just sort of, okay, but at what point could she be arrested? I don't know. I'm just not, I mean, as much as I think she knew things, clearly there's just no criminal liability that they can prove.
Okay, here's my thing. If Chad can get off with that.
Right.
I mean, they said, they're not charging him with that. So.
Well, oh yeah, that's a good comparison with Charles's conspiracy to commit murder for Charles.
Yes.
That's a really good point. And we know he knew beforehand, but he didn't conspire, if they can't prove.
Yeah.
Whether he did or not, I would probably say he helped them plan things. But if they can't prove it with electronic messages, which is going to be the only way, unless they had him pinged in Arizona when this happened. Sure. But like Kay said, they seem to be very far apart when these crimes are committed, to reduce liability, which is a form of, what's the word I'm looking for? Premeditation.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, they're planning to be apart, so they're nowhere near what's going on.
That's going to come into play in the prosecution's case, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, what about severing cases? We've had people ask us about this lately, too.
Yeah, I mean, Pryor will probably file again, right?
I think so, but, it's kind of happened organically on its own, because Chad has a trial date set.
Yeah.
Lori does not. She hasn't even made her first appearance. If you remember, she was there, and then they stopped it.
Yep.
And now we know, and we kind of theorized it was mental health issue, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
So the only thing I wonder, if prosecutors seek death, I feel like Chad's trial is going to be pushed back a little bit. Although Scott says the thing to do is go. Like, go. Don't give the prosecution any more time to get all their, ducks in a row.
Yeah.
But yeah, we think he'll probably file to sever again, and we'll see what happens. Right now, they're kind of already severed.
True.
I mean, if Pryor's ready to go in November and Mark Means is not, how do you remedy that?
Dude,
I don't know.
I don't think Mark Means ain't gonna be ready to go in 2050. No.
Oh, that's funny.
No.
Oh, I hate making fun of people, but
I do too. I'm sorry.
That was a good one, though.
It's not nice.
Sorry, no, that was funny.
What your mama say? If you can't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
That did not stop us in that pageant booth when we were back there by ourselves, and we were not making fun of the kids.
We're not making fun of the kids at all.
Making fun of them mamas.
Yeah.
Whew.
I mean, get into that stuff.
Dude, there was one mom. She's shaking her hips harder than the kid. I was like, she's blowing bigger kisses to the judges.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, man. But then there were some moms you could tell were just letting their kids enjoy it. And some of the kids seemed like they loved it. That's what Taylor said. My daughter's helped backstage a little bit. And she said there were kids that definitely loved the competition. And then she saw a healthy amount of moms pushing their kids when they were tired or frustrated or whatever. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. Like we say, we're trying to keep our episodes specific to one case. So this week, we really need to catch up in the Murdaugh case. There's a lot of stuff that's been released. Fitz News has put so much out there. And the other thing that I'm going to do this week is take the time to break down the 3 different statements by Lori, Alex, and Tylee that were given in the police station the day Charles was murdered, and try to find some discrepancies to point those out. There are a lot. In fact, it was said in there that there were discrepancies in their statements and then what the actual evidence was.
Yeah.
So
you did a cool little quick video on YouTube.
Yeah. I did. I was sitting here on the computer and I read a comment where somebody was like, I just don't get why you have to remove the tire from the back of the Jeep to open that window. So I just did a little quick 1.5-minute demonstration because I have a Jeep. And you can't lift that window up to raise it if that tire rack and then the brake light that's above the tire rack is on. There's big bolts. You can take that off, and that's what happened. Somebody made a good point that I didn't say in the video, is that if you remember, they had the back seats of that Jeep in that storage unit too.
Yep. It
could be sometimes in the 4-door Jeeps, there's a big hump. So it's like, if you watch the video of my Jeep, it lays flat because it's an unlimited. So it's a longer, the boot's longer essentially. But in some older Jeeps, they lay the tires fold, but it's not a flush. And like at first I said Alex was short. And then I quickly was like, no, he was tall. Yeah. So I just wanted to demonstrate. So I put the seats down and showed how you would have to remove that tire and that back, brake light in order to open that window. And it's kind of hydraulic. I would assume maybe he propped it on the gun.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's wide open. So after I watched the video back, I thought maybe he just kind of stuck the extender. What do you call it? Not the extender. It's like a silencer. It's like a long muzzle.
Yeah.
Maybe just,
what the guy on our YouTube channel.
Sub Rosa. Yeah. He's awesome.
Rosa, he'll let us know.
Yes. So anyway, go check that out. It's on YouTube. I tweeted it out and Facebooked it. And, so yeah, it was just kind of a little demonstration, but a lot of people said it, people that don't have Jeeps, it made sense to them after seeing that. So There you go.
And that's what we were talking about. I actually have never seen a picture of the Jeep.
Yeah, it was a 2-door. I'm pretty sure I saw in these documents actually, that because when they were doing surveillance, they talked about the 2-door Jeep.
Yeah.
Mine's an unlimited. It's a 4-door.
Well, my only question would be, if it was a soft top, why would you need to remove the tire? So it had to be hard top.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because the soft top, you just roll it up.
Yeah, you can totally just unzip it and stick a barrel of a gun through that. So yeah, I think you're right. It had to have been a hard top. Yeah. Or otherwise, they just made a lot of work for themselves that totally gave them away.
On morons.
And you think about it, I mean, they were seen rolling that tire out, in and out, and then the back seat as well. And then, Chad gives her a little booty tap on that. So again, dumb criminals did this stuff on surveillance, and there's just so much we don't know. That's
what I didn't understand about that. Like, every storage facility has cameras.
They're morons.
Yeah. So stupid.
They were in a hurry.
Maybe they
end of the world was coming.
They had like the invisible cloak, like off Harry Potter. They're walking around without it.
Oh my gosh! If I had one of those, nobody would be safe.
Oh, I know, right?
Oh man,
I'd mess with all kind of people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Poking people.
Heck yeah. So anyways, that's all we have for today. Like I say, later in the week, not Tuesday, that's my girls' day, Sweet 16. So maybe about Wednesday, we're going to have another episode out for you guys, and you're going to be able to be here a little bit more during the day. So once school starts, we'll get into a more routine of these days. You can pretty much expect episodes, but it's becoming a full-time job, but you have a job.
Yep.
And so sometimes that gets in the way, but we try to keep them coming out for you guys.
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys have a good rest of your evening. We will see you about midweek.
Good night.